I stared at the message on my phone long after the screen dimmed. "We're staying out late, don't wait up. Be useful for once." Useful? It was 1:14 a.m. The house was silent, except for the faint scratching coming from the guest room, her sister's 3 children tearing something apart again. They didn't sleep, they didn't listen, and apparently they were my responsibility because I had nothing better to do. I sat there, in the dark kitchen, listening to the echo of her last words that afternoon. Step up or get out. Her tone wasn't angry, it was bored, like she was instructing a driver to change lanes. I didn't argue, I just nodded and walked away. I'd learned long ago that silence unsettled her more than shouting. But now, alone in the house she inherited from her late father, a place I'd never been allowed to call mine, I felt the shift, like a tectonic plate sliding quietly beneath the surface. Something inside me clicked into place. Not anger, not hurt, just an understanding. She didn't want a husband. She wanted a babysitter, a placeholder, a weekend servant. The scratching grew louder. Something cracked. Then laughter, sharp, unhinged, gleeful. I didn't move. Instead, I reached for the small stack of papers I kept hidden in the drawer, documents she didn't know existed, records she never expected me to pull, proof she never thought I'd look for. Her message lit up the room again. "Why aren't you answering? I told you to handle them." I smiled, cold, quiet, final. Because tonight wasn't like the others. Tonight, I was done pretending, and she had no idea what was waiting for her when she came home. The first sign had come months earlier, a scent, expensive cologne, not mine, lingering on her jacket. Her sudden affection around payday. Her sudden distance once the money cleared. The way she'd glance at her phone and tilted just enough away from me. I notice. I always notice. She just assumed I didn't because I stayed silent. Her sister moved in temporarily just for a week. Then the children followed. Then the rules changed. Weekends were no longer mine. Nights were no longer mine. Even conversations felt leased. "You barely contribute anyway," she had said once, pouring herself wine I paid for. "This is the least you can do." Least? Funny word when someone has already taken everything else. But the shift, the real fracture, came 3 weekends ago, when the youngest child pointed at her phone, giggling, and said, "That's Auntie kissing the shiny man." Auntie, my wife, shiny man. I didn't ask, I didn't react. I just memorized every detail. The angle of her chin in the photo, the shimmering suit the shiny man wore, the hand at the small of her back, a hand that wasn't mine. I tucked the information away like a knife. From that moment, every question became a clue, every late return a pattern, every demand she threw at me a confirmation. She wanted me exhausted, distracted, occupied with chaos, so I wouldn't look too closely at hers. But I did, quietly, precisely, patiently. It started with the phone bill, then the linked accounts, the credit card she thought I never checked, the hotel charges, the transfers to her sister's account marked as child expenses. Child expenses didn't typically occur in penthouse lounges. I requested statements, scraped through old records, printed everything at the library where she'd never think to find me. I learned the shiny man wasn't just someone she met at a bar. He was her coworker, her boss's boss, a man worth 10 times more than her father ever was, a man she'd been seeing for nearly a year. It wasn't the infidelity that hit hardest, it was the contempt, the laziness of her lies, the indifference with which she replaced me before I even realized I'd been dismissed. So I watched, not her, them. Her sister covered for her. The children were distractions. The weekend babysitting was a convenient smokescreen. While I was cleaning up spilled juice and broken lamps, she was in hotel rooms with a man who promised her a better life. Better than me. Better than the man who cooked, fixed, paid, stayed silent. But silence isn't weakness. Silence is preparation. By the time she gave me the ultimatum, step up or get out, I had everything I needed, and she had no idea. When she stumbled in at 3:47 a.m. smelling of expensive champagne and someone else's cologne, I was waiting in the living room, calm, still, utterly empty. "What are you doing awake?" she slurred, kicking off her heels. I didn't answer. I simply placed the folder on the table. Hotel receipts, screenshots, emails, a picture of her and the shiny man under dim golden lights, his hand on the small of her back, her lips grazing his neck. She froze. Her breath cracked. "What is this?" "Truth. Just truth." "How long?" she whispered, voice trembling for the first time in years. I met her eyes, the way one looks at a dying flame. Curious. "How long it will flicker before going out?" "Long enough," I said. "Nothing more." She collapsed into a chair, shaking, mascara streaking like ink bleeding across cheap paper. For the first time, she understood the silence. Silence meant I already knew. Silence meant I was already gone. I didn't yell, I didn't accuse, I didn't ask why. Instead, I slid the signed separation papers toward her. Her signature was the only thing missing. All assets she'd expected me to beg for, declined. All debts she tried to hide, exposed. Her financial skeletons, shared now with her employer, courtesy of an anonymous email containing proof of her fraudulent child expense reimbursements. 2 betrayals. 1 consequence. She stared at the papers, horrified. You ruined me." "No," I said softly, "you did that." My voice never rose, not once. I simply walked to the door, suitcase already packed. As I stepped out, I heard her sobbing, raw, broken, collapsing under a truth she built with her own hands. Her sister appeared at the hallway corner, pale and shaking. "You're just leaving?" "Yes." "After everything?" I paused. Not for her, for myself. For the first time, I said, "I'm choosing me," and I left them in the ruins they created. I checked into a small hotel on the edge of town. No noise, no demands, no messages telling me to be useful. Just quiet, real quiet. The kind that doesn't punish you. The kind that lets your shoulders drop for the first time in years. As dawn broke, I felt the weight lift. Not all at once, but piece by piece. Like a door finally opening after years of pressure. She would spend the morning unraveling. Her job, her affair, her lies, exposed. Her empire wasn't taken from her. It simply collapsed the moment I stepped away from holding it up. I looked out at the city, pale and still waking up, and let the last thread snap. I didn't need revenge. Truth was enough. It always is. I closed the curtains and whispered the final thought that settled in my chest like a stone dropping into deep water. Some houses burn the moment you stop carrying the matches for them.